When first thought, submit spirit to form matter. Our celestial humanity arrives, awaking from the dream, an inception of our reality. So we live, we love, and then there is music. So we dance, we sing, we pray, we reflect, we return. In the infinite in between, the now that was, faces dance in our dreams. Some familiar, some singular, cosmic composition. In the irrelevance of this time, we realize the passion of the random action, learning the lesson that the brotherhood of man is far more important than the ego of any individual. Imagination becomes the sound of thought, traveling at the speed of light. So we paint on the canvas of our ephemeral encounters, a masterpiece of memory that lives in the eternity of a child's heart. Here we go. Kayla.
What's up?
What's up?
How you doing?
How you doing? You all right?
I'm doing good. Assalamualaikum.
Like salam. Yeah. Okay. So, first question I'm gonna ask you: what and who is the 21st century black man and woman, and what do they look like?
Very good question, and I'm glad you asked me that because my answer is real simple. They're the original man and woman. That's what they look like. The original. So when you look at other people and they're trying to emulate the original man and woman, the black man and woman by suntans and body changes and fuller lips and bigger bottoms and trying to have a curvy appeal to their body and get muscles in places they normally, aren't muscular, but they're trying to emulate what the original black man and woman looks like. So that's one on the outer appearance. Also, the inner appearance of the original man and woman, which is the 21st century black man and woman, is a pure divinity and beauty that is about love, is about peace, is about unity. That is what the black man and woman looks like. Our original selves. And anytime you see a black man or woman not acting in that way, well, we're not connected to our original self. And we just need to just connect back to who we really are.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, the world today, and it has been for a while, it's part of our human history when we don't know what it is or what its purpose is or the hidden histories and whatnot. Everybody's been wild about it, and they've been wilding out. You see it all on the internet, you see it on TV, you see it on music videos and television shows and movies and whatnot. As far as sexuality as an energy, because that's what has driven a lot of people when they wilding out like that. Sexuality as an energy. How should we all use it?
Use that energy?
Yeah, it's an energy. How should we harness it and use it properly, I'll say?
Well, we definitely need to harness it, and we definitely need to be more responsible about how we use it. But I really think what's happening with our people, because we have so many situations where we feel we are not in control, that's the one thing we control, right? Our own bodies, what we do to them, how we use them, the situations we put ourselves in. Like, we control that. And sometimes our people are making emotional decisions with their bodies and not rational decisions. So we really need to harness that power and that energy and be responsible with that power and energy. Now more than ever, like, time is up with random craziness, just things, situations people put themselves in or find themselves in, being with people they barely even know. All of that, it has to stop. We have to become more responsible. We just have to. We are in that age right now where just other people breathing on you can cause you to have a serious health problem. Right. Not touching you, just breathing in your same space. Right. So, I mean, we have to harness that energy, that power, and be very responsible with that in this day and age. Because if they didn't understand before, hopefully they understand now that the plot is out there to kill and destroy the original man and woman. I mean, it can't be any more obvious than what's happening right now. So, yeah, we have to be responsible with that energy. And we have to harness that energy.
Okay. Love as an algorithm. What are the steps?
First, loving God, however you identify, the Most High, Allah, Elohim, whatever you call, whatever name, whatever proper official name you call the higher power, then that's the first step. Second is love of yourself and recognizing the importance of yourself and accepting yourself, loving yourself, unifying with yourself, and then unifying, loving, and accepting others. But if you don't love yourself, you are not going to be able to love others properly. So all of those things are very important in terms of the steps of love, and really doing an introspective kind of examination of self. Because people say, real casually, oh, I love you. I love you all the time. But love is a duty. Love is action. Love is actually a verb. It's a verb. It's action. It's not an adjective. So when you say you love someone, what have you done to show your love for that person? When you say you love yourself, what have you done to show love for yourself? You say you love that higher power. What have you done to show love for that higher power? Your love for that higher being. Like, love is a verb, and we need to start understanding that and putting action behind our words. So we're not just saying empty words like, oh, I love you and things like that, but we're actually moving out on those words. And we are implementing action steps on those words. So, an example, you have someone you care about. You say you love them. Maybe that person's your spouse. Maybe that person is your fiance. Maybe that person is your court mate. But whatever title they may have, you care about them. Okay, you love them. Well, then you have to ask yourself, what are the things that person loves? Do they love phone calls every now and then? Check on them, make sure they're okay. Nice text messages. Do they like flowers? Do they like massages? Do they like, a certain type of meal or whatever? Like, what are the things that they're into? What are the things that they love? What are the things that they would appreciate? And then ask yourself, are you doing those things? When was the last time you did those things? And then reason with yourself. Have a reckoning with yourself. If you are doing those things for that person on a regular, then all praises due to Allah. Good. So that's excellent. That's real serious to me. That love issue. Because I think that's the key to everything is love. Love of yourself, love of the people around you, love of people in your family, love of your coworkers, love of people you don't even know, just random people in the street, random acts of kindness. We need more of it. We need to demand it of other people, and we need to demand it first of ourselves.
Wow, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to build on that. That's a key point.
That's a key point to me. To me, it's everything.
Yes.
It is that little 4-letter word, LOVE.
Yeah.
Is everything. To me, it's everything. It took me a long time to figure that out. Like a very long time. I'm almost 50 years old. It took me a long time to figure out that is the key. So as building on that and it being the key, what is the true duty of the mother and father of civilization, of all civilization? The true duty of mother and father of all civilization. Well, that word father, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan broke that word down one time, and I haven't heard anybody explain that word father better than he has. So I'm going to lift his words and kind of paraphrase, but he said when you think of the word father, F-A-T-H-E-R, you think of the word further, F-U-R-T-H-E-R.
Indeed.
Further.
Indeed.
And so a father should take you further in your development and in your life and in your accomplishments. The father is the guide, right? He's guiding you. He's taking you further than where he was.
Right.
And so that is the goal. And every father, if you talk to any father, talk to my father, any father, they will tell you they want their children to accomplish more than they accomplish. They want their children to do more than they were able to do. So that's the father's mission, is to take the child further. Mother is comforter. Mother is first teacher. That's what she's doing the minute her child comes out of her womb. She is teaching and comforting that child. And really, let's take it all the way back. As soon as conception happens, woman realizes she's pregnant. Now I have a new role. I'm not just a woman, but I'm a mother. I'm growing a child inside of my body. So just think about what that experience feels like. She can feel this child moving in her. Different times of the day, in the middle of the night. She can feel kicks. She can feel the child turning, repositioning himself or herself to make themselves more comfortable in the womb. The mother can feel that. Her taste buds change. Certain foods that she didn't even like before, now she's eating them. She has cravings going on for certain things. There's certain smells that bother her now that never used to bother her, but they bother her now. And then there's all these physical changes. Her ankles start to swell. Her hips start to get wider as that pelvis, the bones, literally the bones inside of the woman's body is shifting and preparing for that to create a cavity so that that baby can come out. I mean, think about that. Every cell in that woman's body is accommodating the baby during that time that she's pregnant. So she's already starting the teaching, the comforting, all of that while baby is in the womb. There's plenty of studies that talk about how babies, when they come out, they recognize the voices of their parents. How could that be? Because when you talk to your child, when they're in your body, in your womb, your child recognizes your voice. The child remembers the sound of that voice. The child remembers and records the smell, the touch, the feel of that mother. Otherwise, how do you explain how newborns instantly know that? They're newborns. They only been, out of the womb for a couple of days, but yet they know the sound, the feel, the touch of their own parents because they can feel that in the womb. So the comforting starts long before the baby actually exits the mother's body and is born into the world. It starts at conception. So mother is teaching and comforting and loving. Very important roles. And father is taking and showing and guiding that child on how to go further in life. Direction. How to harness that ambition. How to harness all of that youthful energy. So it's very important to have both in your life. And that's been our problem. We haven't necessarily had both in our lives because of that love issue. The 4-letter word. Loving the wrong people for us, loving folks that we're not compatible with. Next thing you know, of course, the male-female anatomy is going to still happen. And so it happens. Okay, now there's a child on the scene. Right? Because we're talking about natural men and natural women. So that sex thing, that's going to happen. Right? But if you are not doing the LOVE thing with someone of whom you really are compatible with, then now there's a child born into the world, but there's a propensity and probability that that child's going to be born into the world with one parent in the home or one parent in their life as opposed to two. That's a problem. Because now that child doesn't have father who's going to take him or her further right there and accessible to them at all times. They're seeing dad on the weekend or whenever, or in some cases, they may not be seeing dad at all. Or in some cases, they may not even know who dad is, never met him, never been in their life. Now that child has been disadvantaged because that role of that father is very important. And that role of that mother is also very important. We have to have that balance. But we can't have that balance if we don't have the basic, the foundation, love. We're not going to have that. Hence our problem in our community. I think it's the greatest problem we have in our community. It's not poverty. I mean, we can come up out of poverty overnight. Look at all these hip hop stars. 1 minute they were poor, they were all on government assistance, they rap about it. Next thing you know, they meet some producer somewhere, they got some beats. Next thing you know, these dudes are multimillionaires, And so making money and being talented and gifted, I mean, that's who we are. That's what we do. So poverty is not our biggest problem in our community. Health issues is not our biggest. These are all problems in our community, but it's not the biggest. The biggest problem in our community is this LOVE and the lack of it, the misdirection of it, the non-appreciation of it. That is the biggest problem in our community.
Yeah.
We don't have situations like the KKK. Like now you're starting to see militias and more, whatever, these racist folks, being more in the news or what have you, right? More prominent or whatever. But if you drill down in crime statistics in Black neighborhoods, of cities and communities, it is Black people hurting other Black people. Not some white boys coming from wherever they live into a Black community doing these things. No, it's Black people hurting Black people. And why is that? Because there is a lack of LOVE. And not just for each other, but first let's start with self. I mean, you can almost, if you sat on a bus bench or something like that, where you could just kind of watch people and do some people watching and just watch people move. And of course, you'd have to do this in the summer when it's nice and warm, you know. But if you just did some people watching, I mean, you can literally almost see the lack of love on people, like clothing. You can almost see it on them. It's very apparent in how they look many times, what they do, how they act, their facial expressions, their body language, how they move. Like, it's amazing. Like, when you tap into love and you understand, and then you just kind of just sit back and watch, it's frightening, really. You know, to see that and to realize, yeah, we have a pandemic with COVID right now, but in the Black community, we've had a epidemic of a loveless situation going on with ourselves for a very, very long time. Which is why I think, you know, the two people who had the hardest job is the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because their job with the resurrection is getting people to come into themselves, to love themselves, and to come into themselves, recognizing who they are. That's a big work. It's a big job, especially in our community, because there's so many reasons that would explain why we are the way we are, why we have this condition. And you can point a lot of fingers. I mean, from Willie Lynch on down to slavery to all kind of stuff that has put us in the situation or condition that we're in. But now it's 2021. And we have to take back our power. We have to take back our power. We can no longer continue to allow things to just be the way that they've been. We cannot. Literally, our survival depends on this.
That's what's up. Another question. You touched on it a little bit. You touched on a lot of everything in that last answer. I want to talk about music here in several different ways. First part is, how can music be used to express sensuality or life's deeper issues and struggles without being too explicit? And has this been done before? And what are some examples?
Oh, it's definitely been done before. I mean, I think about jazz music. I think about just straight, jazz with vocals or just jazz with instrumental. I mean, that is love. I think about R&B music. That's love. I think about some hip-hop music by certain hip-hop artists. That's love. I think about classical music. That's love. I mean, to me, music is love and sound. That's what music is to me. Good music. And it actually makes you have a physical reaction. I mean, almost like watching people when their favorite song comes on and they just get euphoric and a lot of energy, and they jump up and they're excited, and it's almost like their body just gets taken over by this melody, by this rhythm. Or watching people, the favorite song comes on the radio, boom, they're singing, they know all the lyrics. I mean, they could be having a super bad day, but their song comes on and it's just like straight love all through their ears, just all over their body, and they just get morphed into this sound, into this rhythm, where it just literally changes their entire mood. They could be having the crappiest day, but let their favorite song come on, and the whole thing is like it never even happened. Whatever that was that happened for it never, because they're in a whole nother zone. Or couples that have their wedding song, right? And you go to these weddings and they pick out whatever their wedding song is, that song that they're having their first dance on. That song is important to them. That song has sentimental meaning and value. Those songs tend to be slow songs. They tend to be ballads, many of them. And then you can watch the couple dancing together and they're embracing each other. And it's like they're singing to each other through that song. And they are exemplifying how much they love each other through that song. And everyone at the wedding is witnessing this as everyone is standing around for a minute, right, before you join in the dance. It's just the groom and the bride, the new husband, the new wife, having their moment with their song, their favorite song. And we don't necessarily know why did they choose that song. Maybe you ask them afterwards, which you get in and go, oh, that was a great song. Why did y'all choose that song? And then you find out the story behind it, right? But in the beginning, you don't really know the story. But what you do know, you recognize what you're looking at. And it's just straight up pure joy and just love, just exuding love with that couple listening to them. It takes them to that moment. Whatever that moment is, where that song became their song. And it's just a beautiful thing. So yes, we've had it before. We've had it currently now. And it's just, good music is everywhere. And I'll tell you another thing, how you know something is good music. When a song has been remade by a bunch of people, that's a good song. That song is like what they call timeless. And it just keeps being remade. There's a lot of songs like that out there, written by all types of people from all different types of genres. And then they're remade. It's a great song. And then there are people like, let's say, Stevie Wonder, right? I mean, just some of the greats that, I mean, they just make classic music and volumes of it that we still enjoy. People who are no longer here today. MJ, Michael Jackson, love him. His song comes on. I don't know anybody in the room that's not singing along, that's not enjoying his music. I mean, sometimes, every now and then, we are blessed with straight up musical geniuses like him that cross all barriers, all ethnic groups, all age groups, love that music. You can put it on in any atmosphere, anywhere, and people know the song, people know the lyrics to the song, people love the song. I mean, there've been a lot, I guess, maybe, I don't know how many, but I mean, it's still a rare thing, like some people who are just that talented. And we've been blessed with them and blessed to still have their music because it was all recorded. So those people are like never dead, even though they're gone, they've passed on, they've returned to Allah, they're no longer physically here with us. But their spirit is, because their spirit was in their music. And every time we play their music or even think of their music, we are experiencing that person all over again. We're hearing their voice, we're hearing their instruments, that vibe, that energy that they put in that project. We can feel that. We can connect with that. I know I've heard music. Like, for instance, Prince. I was a big Prince fan. I saw him in concert at the Fox Theater in Detroit. There's certain songs that come on that I remember him performing that. And then it takes me back to remembering the performance. So that's another connection. So not just the videos that have come out, but actual concerts. If you've ever been blessed to see one of your favorite musicians or singers in concert, it literally, when you hear that song, you get taken back to that moment. I remember seeing Shaka Khan at Chene Park, previously known as Chene Park. Now it's the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. And I remember taking my mom, and it was a summer day. It was beautiful. I mean, it was around 75 degrees, and the wind was blowing a little bit, and everybody had their boats on the water right there. And she was just tearing it up. I mean, it's just amazing. And so there's certain songs that I hear on the radio. Whenever I hear music, it takes me back to that moment. It creates pleasure moments. Music does. You know, so yeah, there's great music everywhere. Music is healing. Music is love and sound. It really is.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And honestly, like scientifically, there's been data and evidence that shows when we learn music instruments, whatever music instrument that might be, it actually increases our life. It improves our life. It improves our memory. And it helps ward off dementia and Alzheimer's and all, because you are using other parts of your brain to learn a musical instrument. So it's very, very important that we strive to do that. It actually turns on other parts of your brain. That's not the verbal, like what we're doing now, all these words we're speaking, not the verbal recall, not drawing or painting pictures. It's another part of your brain. It's another activity that literally gets ignited and turned on when you learn how to play a music instrument. It's very important. So this is why when arts was taken out of schools, this was a terrible thing, because the music classes that were free and everybody was able to experience that. Well, now it's become your parents have to pay for lessons for you. It's not free anymore. It's not just in the schools the way it used to be. That's a problem. It's created a dummy down kind of society and situation that it's very bad. It's very unhealthy. But did it save money? Maybe it saved $1 or $2. But then you got to look at things beyond just, okay, did it save money? Whoever that teacher was for those music lessons, or I mean, it's all relative. You can look at it and say, no, it's cost us more money. So because we shut down these arts programs and these music classes in all these public schools across the country, now we have a situation where generations of people have become disconnected to the arts, disconnected to themselves, disconnected from the advantages and the beauty of what the arts can give.
You must read my mind, because you answering the next question, but keep going.
I used to be a teacher.
Yeah.
I remember when we had the arts in school. As a student, I remember benefiting from the arts and all of these, activities we used to have in school. And so it breaks my heart knowing that has been taken away. There's no reason for that. It's really unconscionable, and it's really cruel. It really is just flat out cruel to do that. Everyone should be allowed to be exposed to the arts. The arts is it's our lifeblood. When you ask someone on their deathbed about their favorite memory in life, 9 times out of 10, that favorite memory is not, this conference call that I had to, this work meeting I had to go to. People aren't talking about that. People are talking about a favorite concert they went to, a favorite, art exhibit that they experienced, a favorite, place that they traveled and they danced to this music and this happened, or favorite play they went to, or favorite ballet. People are talking, that's life. That is what we live for. That's the exciting part. That's the interesting part. Not going to the job, to another meeting, to another conference call, to another whatever work related, whatever. And you may like what you do. I like currently what I do, but I'm not going to be talking about that on my deathbed. Inshallah, I'm going to be talking about all the fun stuff, the art gallery I used to own, all the cool artists that I used to work with, those amazing exhibits we used to put on, the jazz concert we had, the play that we had at Red Apple Gallery. Like, I can't wait to open another gallery up again, because that's life. That's the fun stuff. That's the arts. And so it's vitally important. It's critically important. But when you have a bunch of people who have no connection to LOVE, they don't love themselves, they don't love the people, they don't have love for the children, then no, they don't care. All they're looking at, their bean counters. And all they're looking at is, well, how much money are we saving right now, today? They're not looking down 30, 40 years down the road at how much money they're actually losing. Because those people are growing up void of the arts in their life and being able to contribute to the arts or appreciate the arts. They don't look at it like that. They just look at how much are we saving today, right now, this year. And that's unfortunate that those type of people have been allowed to take control and run things, because they've run things where? Into the ground. Crime is up. Health statistics of people, being unhealthy is up. Divorce rates are up. How is it that those people have been allowed to run our lives and be in control of things when the results of their work has been so poor, so awful? Those people should be fired. They should be fired immediately. And we should look at the situation and say, no, this is not how we want our schools to go. This is not what we want in our community. These type of police running around here abusing black people. If somebody is white and they're saying, I'm not a racist, well, then you should have a problem with these racist white police officers running through black communities, put their foot and knees on a black person's neck for 7, 8, 9 minutes until they choke them out. You should have a problem with that. That should actually physically bother you and make you so upset that you literally say, no, hell no. This is not happening in my community. I'm not even black. This is not happening. That's it. That's enough. And you remove those people, period. Like, that's what should happen. But it's almost like people are sleepwalking or something. I don't even know how to describe it, but how is it that these people are allowed to stay in power? Now, with that said, I believe, as a Muslim woman, that everything in life that happens, every scenario, every event, everything happens through Allah's active and permissive will. But I also believe that God is a man and that we have the power and authority to create a new reality for ourselves. Not some spook God coming from somewhere out of the sky or whatever. No, we have that power and authority. And if it's something we don't like, and if it's something happening in our sphere or our environment that is downright unacceptable, unethical, just totally inappropriate, we have the right to change that. Just say, you know what, this ain't happening no more. That's enough of that. So if a community of people got together and said, yeah, we're not having that. We don't want you policing our community because, look, you have a lot of racist white people or what have you on your police force, and you all need to work that out. You need to do something about that. And until you do something about that, we're going to police our own community. There are communities that have done that. I've seen them in the news. They've reported on them. Not enough communities have done it, but there are some people who have decided, you know what, we're policing ourselves. And guess what happened? Crime rate plummeted. Totally went down. Or just non-existent. It just went away, period. Once the people took back their power and said, I don't need some people driving around with blue uniforms on and shields or what have you. I live here. You live here. He lives here. She lives here. Hey, let us all work together to police our community. And that's what they did. And they got peace overnight. Like instantly. They were in heaven. And they didn't have a lot of that nonsense that we put up with. They didn't have that going on because they took back their power. And how were they able to do that? Because they love themselves. And they love each other. They love their community. And that love was so overwhelming and so potent and so absolute that they said that love moved into action. And they said, okay, yeah, enough is enough. We're not having that. We're about to police our own community. We're about to build our own schools. We're about to teach our own. You're not teaching our children music and this and that. Hey, you know what? I'm taking my child out of there and I'm homeschooling my child. I'm about to make sure my child has all of everything that I wanted my child to have in this school. But apparently you all are not doing that. No problem. I'm taking back control. And I'm going to make sure my child has all of these music classes, language lessons, all of that they should be getting in the school, but they're not getting it, so they're going to get it right here. That is love. We don't have to be casualties. We don't have to be like, oh, well, that's just how it is. No. That's just how we allow it to be. Take back our power.
That's what's up. You answered the next two questions answered just for the sake of knowing what those were. Was what does the arts, music, art, and poetry mean to you, and how important is it to human development? And the other question was, what are some key factors in shaping the mind of children? So you expounded on both of those.
Shaping the mind of children, though, you really need to give your child some positive affirmations, because the thing is, you can't be with your child or your children every day, all day. I mean, you just can't, right? You have a job to go to, you have other stuff doing, whatever. And so what happens to your children when you're not around? They need to have a foundation. They need to be able to love themselves, show their love for themselves in action. And then when difficulty comes, because we are promised difficulty. Life is not easy, no, difficulty is a promise. Trust and believe. So then your child is going to go through difficulty, being bullied by other children, or whatever that difficulty might be. Well, have you trained your child on how to deal with that difficulty when it arises? How to stay strong as a person in their character and their integrity and love for themselves? That's going to be very important, because mom and dad, however much you love your child, you cannot be with them 24/7. And children do what every day? They're growing. They're getting older every day. And so the older your child gets, eventually they're going to move out of your house. They're going to have their own life. You have to prepare your child for that moment. And also, sometimes, God forbid, unthinkable things happen. People have car accidents, things happen, parents die, right? And then the child is left out there to try to figure it out, moving into homes with family members or foster care. I mean, our job is to equip the children with how to survive, even when mom and dad is not around.
Yeah,
so how do we do that?
I was thinking one that just came to me. I guess you could. Is this an example of what you're talking about? I was gonna say, if you told your children whenever they dealing with any life issue, to say, if somebody comes at them with something negative or putting them down, they say, I am the greatest, and I will not let anyone or anything make me be less than what I am.
That's right. Exactly. And you have to teach your child. You have to teach your child that they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the 60s music, I'm black and I'm proud, dude. Dude, say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. I mean, when we had music like that, that did so much to build the self-esteem. That it's not a coincidence that that period, that time period for us was very dynamic. With all of these Black cultural groups starting businesses, buying up property and land, and I mean, just so much happening during that time. That is no wonder in the 80s, it's when you start to see a significant decline in the poverty among those groups.
The crack war.
Serious crack war, serious attacks around the 70s and 80s, because the 60s was so powerful. And we were saying things like, I'm black and I'm proud.
The hidden hand was in the plan.
Right, and you had people walking around with their natural hair and all that. I mean, look at that. Look at the complete flip that has happened, where you have people buying bleaching cream and all this kind of stuff. Like, what? We used to never do that. And yes, okay, we had our issues of, okay, light skin, dark skin, and sometimes we'd have fights in the family, right? But on a whole, as a whole, we loved ourselves. We loved ourselves. The enemy had to do something about that. So we have to teach our children to love ourselves. Whatever complexion your child is, they need to love themselves. Whatever hair texture they have, they need to love themselves. I saw a picture of a young girl, and this was something I was flipping through, and she couldn't have been any more than 8 or 9 years old. She had fake nails on. She had weave in her hair and all that. She's like 8 years old. What is that? I mean, no. This is not good. We have to love our natural self. And that, that's a hard thing sometimes. When you grow up and maybe I've met people that have told me no one has ever told them they were beautiful. No one has ever told them that I love you. Because I used to do this thing at the gallery, and turn to the person next to you and tell them you're beautiful. Tell them I love you. Do you know there would be some people in tears after that?
Yeah, I remember.
I'm getting chills
thinking about it. I'm getting chills about it now, because that was a powerful time.
No, I mean, I just feel so loved. I've never had anybody say that to me. I said, say what to you? Tell me that I'm beautiful. What?
That was a powerful time period.
And we're talking about some grown folks now.
Right.
So that means that person went their entire childhood, their entire adolescence, teenage, now they grown, 20-something, 30-something, some of them 40-something. No one ever told you you were beautiful? No one has ever said that to you? I was in tears after they said that, because I just could not imagine living in a loveless existence like that. Like, I couldn't imagine that. I was blessed that I had parents that doted, and maybe that's why I'm so in love with love. Because I got a chance to see it. I got a chance to experience it. I know how it benefited me. My parents told me every day that they love me. You're beautiful. We love you. You're our child. Doted on me. Showed me love through action, not just words, but through action, through their own sacrifice. I could see that. I'm so thankful for that. And so, my grandmother would call me her love child. Because she said I used to walk around all the time hugging people, even people I didn't even know. And I didn't know that about myself. But then I looked at family pictures, and I'm always hugged up on somebody. Just hugging people.
That's K-Love. That's K-Love. That's K-Love.
Yeah, K-Love, I'm telling you. That's some real talk. Always been, brother. Always been. So to meet people who have lived life without that kind of love, without that kind of experience, it was very foreign to me. It was very shocking to me. But it's real. Some people, that is their reality. So after I realized that and I became conscious of that, that's when I realized, okay, this love thing is serious. This is the key. This is what it is. This is what we need in our community. This is what we need in our lives. Because if we don't have this right, nothing else is going to be right. I know people who make lots of money, they got nice jobs or whatever. They so unhappy. They miserable. They don't have love in their life. Some of them don't even love themselves. So, yeah, this love thing is very, it's critical. To me, I think it's everything.
On that note, the last question. You answered it all throughout this in so many different ways. So I'm going to give you another opportunity to deal with the same issue you've been continuing in this thing, because I think it's necessary to say it as many different ways as you can and to express it as many different ways as you can so that people can get it from all angles. So the last question is, the manifest destiny of humanity depends on what?
Oh, yes. Love. It depends on love. Seriously, I mean, if we don't have that, I mean, there's actual proof and evidence of this. Newborns. If a newborn is left to their own devices and they're not picked up or held or coddled, they could die. They actually need that to survive, to exist. And babies that don't have that, studies have shown, and this is in not that they put babies in a study to to do that to them, but they've examined children that were in situations like that over in China, these little orphan farms, they call them, or whatever, where these children are just left in cribs and they're just fed a bottle and no one ever picks them up. No one ever coddles them. No one ever holds them or caresses them. These children, many of them die, or many of them become completely almost like zombies, and no affection for themselves or other children. And they can actually be seen abusing other children. I mean, it creates a mental illness in that child. That's how critical love is. I mean, it's a serious thing. It's a very serious thing. And I think we do have a lot of mental illness in our community, in the Black community, and just period in the community, because of this lack of love. Abuse of children, abuse of women, and children watching their mothers get abused. I mean, this is a serious problem. It's an epidemic. To me, it's a pandemic. Yes, COVID's a pandemic, but this lovelessness is a pandemic that has to be addressed directly. So, yes, I will say it over and over again, because Allah turned something on in me when I realized how important love is. Love of your family, love of your friends, love of yourself, of course. I mean, it all connect. Love of what you do, whatever it is, whatever is your passion, loving that. You can tell when you're interacting with someone, wherever you're at, and they don't really love their job, they don't really love what they do. You can feel that. You can tell. Versus someone who does. It's like complete night and day, different energy. Straight up. So, yeah, love is Very important. It's everything. People who love being married, people who love their spouse, like genuinely love their spouse, and others who just kind of feel like they settled and they're tolerating that other person. They don't really love them, but they're just kind of almost like roommates at this point. There's no love there. That's terrible. That's terrible to be in a marriage like that. And that's terrible for children to see a marriage like that. Because that's not how it should be. Where you're just kind of going through the motions. You're paying bills together, but that fiery, passionate love, it's just not there. That's terrible. That is really sad. That's a sad situation. But many people find themselves in that situation. Some to no fault of their own, and some of them it is their fault. Because they didn't connect with the right person for themselves in the first place. They didn't make good choices. They didn't ask enough questions in the beginning. Or they were kind of unsure of what they wanted. Or they got married because somebody got pregnant and it just kind of was like, well, I guess we'll get married now, But there was no love there, though. So to me, love is everything. I've seen teachers who love to teach. And those are the teachers where the students love their teacher. They want more homework. They hate to go home. If they could be around their teacher all the time, they would totally be okay with that, because that teacher makes learning fun. They love their job. They love the children that they teach. They love what they do. And then I've seen teachers that basically got into teaching because they just needed a job, but they don't love it at all. You can definitely tell the difference. You can step foot in that classroom the first day, really within the first hour of being in that classroom, and tell which teacher is which, who actually loves what they're doing and who doesn't. You can tell. And guess what? The students can tell too. They know. Big difference being taught by a teacher who actually loves what they do versus a teacher where this is just a paycheck for them. Totally different experiences those two students will receive. So love is beyond just, loving yourself or loving another person, but it's also loving a thing, loving what you do, being connected to whatever God blessed you with, and being blessed to be able to do that, whatever that skill is, whatever that thing is that you love. People are in jobs, are in professions of doing things they actually do not love. And they're miserable. And when you know how that is, that saying, hurt people hurt other people. Well, I think miserable people make other people miserable. So, because they're unhappy. And it almost becomes like an infection, unhappy people. So that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. We need to be found immersing ourselves in love for what we do, love for who we're with, love just in general, period. And it's good for our health. There's studies that show that people who are in love are generally healthier than people who are not. Why is that? Because the body releases certain chemicals and endorphins in that person's body that actually helps them physically. So, when someone says, you make me sick, that might actually, they might be literally speaking truth. That person is making them sick, like literally sick. We have to be careful who we give our energy to, who we are around, who we spend time talking to, who we let in our homes, who we have around our children, who we take advice from. All of that we have to be careful. And we have to make sure we are immersing ourselves around love, people who really genuinely love us and have love for us, who want the best for us, and that we also love ourselves. So to me, it's everything. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's that critical.
Indeed.
And it's not easy. I mean, when you see someone who does not have love for themselves, who has been kind of battered and bruised and a lot of trauma, it's difficult. You know, it's very difficult. But you still have to be loving to them and try to help them find their way to be loving to themselves. And also, we make mistakes. No one is perfect. We're going to make mistakes. That's guaranteed. Well, can you still love yourself if you make a mistake? Can you still love another person if they make a mistake? Sure you can. By recognizing nobody's perfect. By recognizing how important the atonement process is. That whole atonement process is all about love. Love of the other person, and respect of that other person, to actually apologize and to atone and to ask for forgiveness. That's a very loving activity when someone humbles themselves enough to actually apologize, to recognize the wrong that they did, admit to the wrong, and then apologize for it. I mean, that is very loving. But we teach in the community, not necessarily the Black community, just in general, you know, apologizing makes you a punk. It makes you weak. What? It actually gives you power. It's loving. It's kind. It's empathetic. It's the right thing to do. And it takes strength. A coward is someone who runs from truth, someone who runs from apologizing, taking responsibility. That's a coward who does that, who runs from responsibility. But someone who is strong is a truth seeker, a truth lover, you know, a truth establisher. They love the truth. So they love the truth so much that if there's something that they did that was out of sync or out of order or improper, they have no problems apologizing because they love the truth that much that they have no problem taking responsibility and atoning so that it can be truth and love established again.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's the last one. This is the last one. This is the last one, I promise. I almost forgot about it now. I know it's too important to pass up. I just asked them out of order. That's why
you have some good questions.
I asked it out of order. As far as getting back to the first set of questions I asked you, dealing with the Black man and woman, what does it mean specifically for the woman, because you're a woman, and then your ideal of a man, as far as what does it mean to have virtue?
What does it mean to have virtue? For a woman to have virtue?
And a man.
And a man. Well,
your ideal of a virtuous man, a virtuous woman. Because a lot of times people always say a virtuous woman, but what about a virtuous man?
True. Okay, so the word virtue, it's a noun. It means behavior showing high moral standards. And then you can also say a good or useful quality of a thing. Another definition says, and this is defined as archaic, but virginity or chastity, especially in a woman, or virginity, honor, But I like that first definition, behavior showing high moral standards. So an example of a virtuous man to me is someone who wears proper clothing. That's just on the outside, where literally just looking at him, not even getting an opportunity to speak to him yet, but just looking at him from across the room or whatever, you can see a virtuous man who respects himself, who understands his value just by the clothes he's wearing, right? And then from there, if you get an opportunity to speak with him, he's polite, he's respectful, he is articulate, he is honest in his communication, he's appropriate. It's all of those things. If you get a chance to observe his behavior, he's doing things like opening the door for women. He is, if he's on some public transportation, he sees a woman standing, he's giving up his seat for that woman to sit down. He's doing all those kind of things. If he sees a woman in trouble or some kind of problem, he's stepping in to bring the peace in that situation. Even if that's just asking people to calm down, that type of thing. I'm not saying, physically doing anything, but it could mean that too. So that's virtue to me in a man. He's prayerful, he's dutiful in that, and humble and respectful of his role in society and what he's supposed to be doing, and respectful of women. That's a virtuous man to me. Behavior showing high moral standards. He's cognizant of his language. I was somewhere, I think, getting oil change, and there was a bunch of black male youths that came in, and they were younger, and you could tell, and I mean, every other word was a curse word. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm sitting here. Do you not see that a woman is in the room? You're not in the male locker room, because men talk, right? I mean, they're going to talk however they talk, but a man with virtue, showing the behavior of high moral standards, he's aware and cognizant of who's in his environment. And there's certain language he's going to use and language he's not going to use when there are women present. And so to me, that's a virtuous man. A virtuous woman is the feminine aspect of that. How she dresses, how she behaves, how she communicates and interacts with the opposite sex. Just constantly being cognizant of who she is, respect for herself, connection to her femininity, the closeness with God that she has, keeping up her prayers, her duty, all of that, just being aware of herself and of others and her responsibility when she's interacting with others. To me, that's a virtuous woman. Definitely. And respect for herself. Respect for himself. It goes both ways. But respect for herself. And so many times, I mean that word virtue, to me, it's a connection to love as well, because respect for yourself, how are you going to be respectful of yourself if you don't love yourself? Right. So how can you really be virtuous if you don't first have love for yourself? So to me, it's all connected. But that's what that looks like. And yes, we can have that. We can be that. We just have to be that at all times. And sometimes that's a challenge for people. Sometimes people turn it on and turn it off. But we have to see the beauty in being virtuous, the necessity of it, the importance of it, and encourage each other to be just that at all times.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I heard you've written a book.
Yes, I did. And it's called Relationship Talks. And it's for those people who are in courtship. That might be an old word for some people. They're like, courtship, what is that? I'm dating. Does that mean it's for me? Yes. But courtship is really once you've kind of made up your mind and you kind of settled on one person and you're thinking about taking things to the next level with them. That's really what a courtship is. Dating is just kind of various people. You could be dating 3, 4, 5 people at a time, and you're not serious about any of them. So Relationship Talks book is really for those people who are serious about relationships. They're not playing any games. They're past that stage in life. And they want the right person for themselves. So someone in courtship, someone engaged, or maybe newly married people. But what I've discovered is that even people who have been married 10 plus years, 20 plus years, they have purchased the book and have now since reached out to me to tell me that they're learning new things about their spouse that they never even knew. So I was completely blown away by that, because when I wrote the book, I had not really anticipated that. I was really only focused on new relationships and people, couples that are newly starting their partnership with each other in life. I had no idea that the book would benefit people who have been married for quite some time, but still have not discovered their partner. And all of the multi-layers that each one of us have, they still had not uncovered all of those layers. And the book is helping them to do that.
That's what's up. That's Relationship Talks by Katrina Muhammad, right?
Yes, by Katrina Muhammad. You can find it on Amazon. And also the website relationshiptalksbook.com.